We are back with a part 2 to a video I did not that long ago of me basically getting in front of this camera and asking you, why haven't you yet tried these fragrance recommendations that I have been telling you about over and 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 over. Will you just get on with it?
Okay.
But I get it. I know there's some reasons why you would feel this way, why you would not try what I'm recommending, why you're not trying what I'm saying I love, because this is just my taste. I don't expect you to feel the same way I do about anything in life. But all I try to do on this channel is share with you my best, share with you what I truly love. So the 10 fragrances I'm going to share with you in this video are basically some of the best of the best. The ones that have made it into a lot of content on my channel for a reason. Now, as I said, this reminder to try these fragrances is not serving as a guarantee that you're going to love them as much as I do, but they are going to serve as a reminder to not follow the crowd on occasion, because a lot of the fragrances I'm going to share with you are either under discussed or in some ways discredited for a particular reason, and we'll get to all that in a second as we go through each fragrance. And again, my advice to you is don't just take someone's negative or critical feedback at face value, because that is their experience. It is totally valid, but your experience may not be exactly the same. Am I saying you need to buy the fragrances that people are saying maybe are not worth it? No, absolutely not. But if there's anything remotely interesting about these fragrances, try them, sample them, see for yourself, form your own opinion. Let's dive right into it. In no particular order, I've been talking about this fragrance a lot. I've loved this fragrance for years now, and boy, it is really special to me. But I see a lot of people saying that it's not worth the money, that it's not that special for one particular reason. From Frapin L'Humaniste. And many of you guys already know this, but yes, a lot of people discredit this fragrance because it apparently has subpar performance for the price that you might pay. And to that I say, would you put on a t-shirt and go outside in 28-degree Fahrenheit weather and get upset that the t-shirt is not keeping you warm? I know most of you would say, Justin, that's ridiculous. Why would I get upset at a t-shirt for not keeping me warm on a cold day when it is clearly intended to be worn for a warm day? And that's what this is about. This fragrance was made in a particular way. It was not made to be a strong, dense, rich fragrance. Even though it is a niche fragrance and it will come at a high price, high-ish, it's all relative. Think about what it is. If you've tried it or if you've heard about it, this is a fresh, citrusy, slightly fruity, gin and tonic based fragrance. It is cooling, it is fresh and aromatic, there's some bite to it, it screams hot summer day. Classy and fun all at the same time. If you don't smile when you smell this fragrance,
Go to therapy.
trust me when I say this. The scent of this fragrance is beautiful. You will most likely like it at the very least. Again, can't guarantee you'll love it, but I've seen a lot of people say I was hesitant to try it because it doesn't last. Apparently, I got a sample of it. I tried it. I realized, you know what? Yes. Not the longest longevity, maybe 5 to 8 hours, but it smells divine. So if that alone is a good enough testimony for you to go out and sample this, then I'm going to link to a sample of L'Humaniste down below. Don't follow the sheep. See for yourself. This next fragrance is no stranger to the channel, no stranger to YouTube. I understand why you may have been hesitant to try this one. I get it. The sound of this does not sound pleasant, but honestly, I believe that some of the best fragrances, at least in my opinion, are also some of the most polarizing. And that goes beyond fragrance. There's going to be people who absolutely love it and some people who cannot understand how those people absolutely love it because it smells deplorable to them. And honestly, ironically enough, that's a sign of something really good, something really authentic and true to itself. Gucci Guilty Absolute. I know there are many of you watching this video that have heard about this fragrance. You've heard about it, you've seen people talk about it, maybe you've seen me talk about it, and you've seen people say this is, oh my gosh, a designer masterpiece, a breath of fresh air. Not literally, because it is quite a dark, leathery, medicinal, woody, earthy fragrance that just smells very authoritative and not easy on the nostrils, but it has personality to it, and we cannot deny that. And as a result, you haven't tried it. And once again, the point of this video, I'm here to encourage you, to implore you, revisit that fear What is on the other side of the fear? It's you hopefully getting a sample of this and realizing this is an incredible fragrance. Now, I don't know where I'm going to wear it, but I am enamored by it. Or it's going to be like,
everyone was right, this is gross.
Either way, at least you know for yourself. Don't just let the public decide for you when something is this polarizing. See for yourself. Gucci Guilty Absolute. Sample first, please. I will link to what I can find down below. Not a blind buy endorsement. I hope you can see that. A lot of people say this fragrance is not strong enough. Once again, that seems to be the prime complaint for most people. I do think it can often be a little bit of an immature one, not because it's wrong to want a fragrance to be stronger, but I think immature to place energy in a place where you have no control, because how does complaining change the circumstances? You and I both know it doesn't. Kilian straight to heaven. Now, I don't consider this to be a weak fragrance. It's by no means beast mode, and for that I am eternally grateful, because the scent profile of this is weird. This is a weird smelling fragrance, so if it was strong or if it lasted all day, it would become so nauseating, at the very least to me. So for others, I don't know, but I'm so grateful this is not a strong all day, all night performer. This is a rum and patchouli and wood based fragrance. Earthy and damp, slightly sweet and boozy, a little bit fruity, but in this dried fruits way, some slight vanilla, some dry cedar wood. Definitely a little bit linear, doesn't change a lot on my skin, but man, the whiffs I get in the air, the way this makes me feel when I wear it, makes this a 10 out of 10 fragrance. It's weird. I always try to explain this, but it's not just the way the fragrance smells objectively that makes me love it. It is the way it smells when I smell it around me and how I emotionally respond to it. That is what makes me love it. It's more than just the scent itself. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, that's okay. But let me know what you think of Straight to Heaven. And if you still haven't tried it, even though I've been bugging you guys about it, please get yourself a sample and see what you think. This fragrance was effectively love at first sniff. I wouldn't call it a 10 out of 10. It's like a solid 8 at the very least, 8.5. I love the wearing experience of it. I can see why people shy away from it or brush it off, because it's not a very strong fragrance, but it's also not very expensive. This is Brioni EDP Eclat. The quality you get from Brioni inside and out, these bottles are heavy and thick glass. I love the frosted look of this particular flanker, the magnetic caps, all the detailing of this label, which is like supposed to be representative of their suits, the material they use. Everything is just beautiful. You get your hands on and you feel like you have true quality. The scent matches. There is continuity amongst the entire collection. Everything smells like it goes together, but each one stands apart. It's its own thing. Really special fragrances. This one in particular is more on the musk side. This is a kind of dry, citrusy rind musk. Very, very fresh, very, very musky in this clean smelling way. There's something about it that smells clean and fresh, but it does not smell generic, run of the mill, out the shower. There's a little bit more class here, a little bit more interest here, but it's also pretty subtle. It's a pretty transparent scent profile. It's not going to fill the air around you. You may not smell it all day. It might come in and out. I get maybe, again, 6 to 8 hours out of this eau de parfum, and that's all I need it for. So don't let the naysayers who say, oh, I wish it lasted longer. That's fine. They can wish that, but that is not a knock towards the fragrance. That does not mean that there's anything actually missing here, because let's be real, guys, unless you're working 12-hour shifts, or unless you are for some reason taking these crazy escapades, going out to every club in the city all night long, or who's doing that? Who needs a fragrance to last that long? Brioni EDP Eclat, check it out. This fragrance came to me a little bit late in 2023, and it really took me by storm. I've been getting a lot of wear out of it ever since, and I've liked it more and more and more with every wearing. This is from Mind Games. It's Gambit. First thing I'm going to say about this fragrance is that it's very expensive. In fact, it might even be overpriced. I can easily say that. Some people are really out here trying to make money. They are out here trying to make money. That being said, I do think, oh, that's good. I do think it is at least worth a sample. You have to see for yourself. On the surface, this smells kind of like a slightly more refined version of something like Dior Sauvage Elixir. I get this slightly shower gel fresh vibe, almost barbershop vibes, dark and earthy and spicy and clean, a little tiny bit sweet. But there's more to it than that. The more I've gotten to know it, the more I see it as its own thing. There's this woodiness from petitgrain that is just so masculine with that patchouli that is damp, earthy, and it just kind of draws you in. There is a cleanliness, but it is not overly fresh. It is not something I would wear on a hot day. This is more evening vibes. The way this bottle looks is the way I would wear it. Basically wear it at night all year round. All year round, this could be your going out scent at night when you want to have a sexy vibe that is not terribly boyish. It does smell of good quality. It just will be a little bit adjacent to some more mainstream profiles, but it has its own thing. So don't let the overpriced quality of it deter you. Now, let it deter you from buying a full bottle if you've never tried it. Please don't do that unless you just got it like that. Get yourself a sample or a discovery set. I will link to what I can find down below. That is Gambit from Mind Games. Now, this is a fragrance I know many of you guys have tried, maybe on my recommendation, and this is another one of those polarizing ones. This was a head scratcher for me at first because it wasn't what I expected based on the name, but as I actually got to know it and kind of shed my preconception and accepted it for what it was, it blew me away, and I absolutely love wearing it now. 40 Knots from Xerjoff. There's a reason why you've seen this quite a bit on my channel since I got it about a year ago. It is just not what you would think. It is not an aquatic fragrance. It is not an oceanic fragrance. It doesn't remind you of being out on a yacht or on a boat traveling at 40 knots and being under the sky. No, none of that. This is this strange kind of powdery, ambery, sweet, woody fragrance. It has a little bit of an airiness to it, but it's pretty dense and quite strong and long lasting. This is a very elegant smelling scent profile. This is one I save when I'm mostly going to be outdoors because it will just kind of fill the air around you. You are going to smell it around you. If you're inside, I really don't need much of this. I might do 3 sprays at the max if I know I'll mostly be indoors. Otherwise, it can be a choker. You don't want to be that guy. And if you do, you actually don't want to be that guy. That is 40 Knots. Again, in my content for a reason as much as it is, and I do recommend sampling it. 40 Knots. Now, this one, I get it. Kind of similar to the Gucci. This is a fragrance that I myself understand why you wouldn't have tried this if you haven't. When I first tried this, I hated it. My nose wasn't ready for it. This may not be for the beginner, or especially the beginner to vetiver, but there's a reason why this is an iconic scent profile, why it's been on the market for almost 20 years, why it's an award-winning fragrance, why it's spawned in not only an entire collection of flankers, but it has inspired other fragrances across other brands, across the industry. This is a seminal fragrance and it will be around forever. That is Terre from Hermes. This is the original EDT. I love several iterations of this fragrance, but the EDT is one I would start with if you want to get into the core of this DNA. It is such a special scent profile. It is vetiver, it is orange, it is pepper, isoe super in there. It is woody, a tad bit musky, dry, but kind of fresh and citrusy in this, again, orange-like way. Some people say it smells kind of dirty. Be it what you will, maybe you might get that a little bit up close, but we don't smell fragrances like that when we wear them, so don't worry about that. Get it on your hand, waft it to you, smell it around you in the air, especially outside. And I think you'll be amazed at how phenomenal of a scent personality this is. This is one, if you want to have a more sophisticated vibe, if you want to have a slightly more elevated personality, not mature, not old-fashioned, but just someone that people take seriously. If you want to have that vibe, this is a fragrance to consider. Again, it's worth a sample. It's not that expensive to get on discounters, but still, I don't recommend a blind buy. Sample it first because you might hate it. Again, no guarantees here. That is Terre EDT. This fragrance is another polarizing one. There are people who don't get it. There are people who don't understand how this could be liked, but man, this was love at first sniff for me. When I first tried it, I knew it had to be something I needed in my collection, so I ended up buying it. At the time, I had to buy it from overseas because it wasn't available in North America. I paid a pretty penny to get it at that time, and I'm so happy it's more available now because it deserves to be smelled by more people. This is Overture Man from Amouage, and this is a showstopper. This is a fragrance that is definitely not for everyone, if I could say that about any fragrance in this list, aside from the Gucci. It applies to that too. It's this one. And I know I get some flack for saying that a lot, that it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. It's the damn truth. Gosh, this is such an incredible composition. This is cognac, sweet cognac, but it's smoky, animalic, woody, warm, and spicy. It kind of smells the way it looks, but it might smell edgier than it looks. The animalic qualities in here, they bring a slight funk, not dirty smelling, not unclean, but just prickly. There's something about it that when you smell it up close, whew, You have this visceral response. It may not even be something you can truly articulate, but the nose knows. Incredible scent profile though. If you get this on your hand to test it out, let it waft around you. I would not really wear this in the heat. I would save it for cooler nights or cooler times of the year. I do know there are people who rock this in the summer. All the power to you, but that's not my thing. But man, if you've heard polarizing things about this, again, remember that means there could be something really special about it. So get a sample for yourself. I'll have one linked down below. That is Amouage Overture Man. This is a little bit more of a silent fragrance. You don't really see anyone talking about this. I feel like I've been one of the spearheads, one of the front runners with talking about this fragrance on occasion for the past several years, and it's still a love in my collection. This is the green juice, as I've been calling it for years. From Bois 1920, this is Dolce di Giorno, and this is so lovely. This is beautiful autumn vibes, great fall vibes, spicy cinnamon, warm and sweet, some plum in there, a little bit dark and juicy with lots of dry cedar wood, some cypriol, which brings this very interesting old wood feel that might not sound appealing, but it just works. It actually makes it even more cozy. There's some vanilla as it dries down. A very distinctive profile that smells sweet and approachable, but still kind of classy, something to wear on a night out or a night in, but definitely fall winter vibes. Great for what it can be worn for. That is Bois 1920 Dolce di Giorno. Please get yourself a sample of this one. Again, not a lot of people are talking about it, but I've been loving it for a while. It has stood the test of time for me. And this final fragrance is nothing new. Basically, if you have been watching my channel for at least 3 years and you still haven't tried this fragrance, I don't know if you're a real one. I want to believe it. I want to know based on you being here, but this is a deep one. This one goes to the heart. Now, if you're new, then this is your first and last warning to get on the train. But if you've been here and you still have not tried John Varvatos Vintage, I'm not going to say much about it because I've talked about it a lot. It's been on this channel for some time. Go to your nearest department store. They probably have it, and try it. If they don't have it, I will link to a decant with whatever I can find, but at the very least, this is one of those very few fragrances, at least at the time I'm filming this video. I will almost never say this, but this fragrance is very inexpensive online on the discounters. If you blind bought it, I wouldn't judge you. I wouldn't be mad. I'm not going to encourage it. I will say that the quality of the scent well exceeds what you pay for it. However, as I've been saying this whole video, I am not saying that you're gonna love it. There's something about this that smells gentlemanly. It smells like a sophisticated guy. You smell like you got it together. You like to dress up. You like to wear clothes that fit you. You like to wear clothes that make you feel classy, maybe even more business-like. You want people to treat you seriously. You shake people's hands firmly. You look them in the eye. You're not afraid to start a conversation, but you don't need your fragrance to scream and do all the talking for you. This is a subtle but present personality. It is a confident one that does not need attention. I hope I've described the personality of the scent enough. If you want to know more about it, I will link to some video. I don't know which one. I'll link to it, whatever video I feel like I've talked about this fragrance adequately and will give you an idea of what to expect when you smell it. I will link to something, but I do recommend you just do your due diligence and go try it if you can. Enough said. John Varvatos Vintage. There's another reminder. I'm sure it won't be the last because I have more fragrances that I love and I've talked about a lot that I know many of you still haven't tried for some odd reason. Once again, everything's going to be linked down in the description, and thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.